What's up, folks? Tito here. Just got back from the North Texas Comic Show. So I figured I'd do a little review on it. Tell you how it went. First of all, so I'm in San Antonio, and Dallas is about 4.5 hours. So I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drove. The con didn't open until 10 o'clock for the general public, and then at 9:15 or 9:20 is when the VIP badges were allowed to get in, the early morning badges, right? Keynote speakers, or the headliners, were George Perez and Marv Wolfman. You also had Bob McLeod, Tom Rainey, Graham Nolan, Scott Hanna, Mike Golden, just to name a few, right? But of course, everybody was there for George Perez. I'm not trying to get political or anything, that's for closed conversations, but George Perez has announced that this will be his last Texas Comic Con due to the way that Texas voted during the presidential race. That's his right, be as it may, that's his decision, right? Kind of sucks for us as fans, but what that did do is pretty much bring all of Texas to this con, and what sucked is only there for one day. So yeah. Okay, yes, I took a shower, but I wanted to show you this. This little pink thing. You had 3 badges. You had the George Perez line jump badge, you had kind of like the 2-day badge, and then you had the general population, which that's what I was. And that George Perez jump line, that's like the VIP. Now what they did is they gave out 20, I think it was 21 of them, if I remember right, 20 or 21 of them. And those things sold out like hotcakes. And then the VIPs came up next, and those sold out. So I left here. I got up at 4. I left here about 5, and I was in no rush. I knew it was going to be crowded, so I get there. Parking was okay. It was in a weird location, but that's besides the point. What is the point is that me being, going in through the general population, you get wristbands. And on these wristbands, you get a number. And that number signifies where you are in that line after the VIPs and the 2-day passes. So my number, you see that? Sorry, I got another text. 366. So I just started laughing. I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll do everything but the George Perez thing, and I wait for that to be last. So before I actually get to the con, I stop at the local bookstores. Again, I was in really no hurry. The con ended at 6. So I went to a couple bookstores. That'll be at my next video, what I showed and what I got at the con. So I get there I walk in about 11:30, and I go straight to the George Perez line. I'm like, so what number are you guys on? 15. So from 9:15 to about 11:30ish, he only processed 15 people. Now, this is where the problem came in. Okay, let's not say problem, because it's all in the eyes of the beholder. It's good for the fans. It sucked for everybody who wasn't a part of that VIP. Because what happened was, George Perez has unlimited amount of signings. The volunteer coordinator, who I happen to know, they try to limit that down to 6 books. 6 books is all you get. George Perez stomped him in his little pee-pee and said no. He actually bumped it up to 12, and that's because of the series that he ran. I think a lot of it had to do with the Crisis on Infinite Earth. If I remember correctly, that's a 12-issue run. So, but what I'm saying is short boxes of nothing but comics. And the volunteers, and I'm not hitting on the volunteers, trust me, I'm a volunteer, so I know how stressful it is, especially dealing with, the attendees. But I think they forgot to factor in those VIP holders of jumping back into the line in front of the 2 days. They were using their line jumps. They were, let's say, they're abusing their line jumps. So once they got their sketch or their book signed, they would leave and get back in the line in front of the 2-day passes. And the league coordinator found out about it, so they start tracking it. They would mark the badges. Good on them. 1:30 rolled around. I think he was up to 28. Stuff ain't looking good for me. Right? So I was like, okay, well, I got the big book signed. I got a lot of comics signed. 4 o'clock ran around. Now, mind you, this con closes at 6. I started getting a little bit stressed because I was only there for George Perez, just one day. So I talked to the coordinator, and I was like, hey, so, dude, what are we doing with, everybody else? And he's like, all I got to say is just get in line. So I dropped off my slabs with CGC, and I did some last-minute shopping, and then I got in line. 7:30. 7:30. I finally got my book signed. Now, I will give it to George Perez. He was a machine. I am talking about, he was to the point where he was in this, mental zen, where he would sketch. His sketches were free, but you had to put $40 donation. And they were no 2 to 5 minute sketches. You're talking about a 15, 20 minute sketch. And that's what took so long, because he cut off the sketches at 60. And I want to say that was at 6:30 is when he cut off the sketches. So from 9:15 to 6:30, he did about 57 sketches, because the 3 people, there was 3 guys that never showed up. And that's what I'm saying. It's eyes in the beholder. It's phenomenal to have a George Perez sketch. So, good on you if you did. It sucked for everybody else that wasn't. And my homeboy that I was there with only had 1 book to sign. Just 1. And he was right next to me. So 7:29 he was getting his book signed. But so he was a machine, right? So what he was doing was, instead of taking lunch breaks and taking, I'm about to punch you, dog, snack breaks or pee breaks, he literally sat on his table, was drawing as his wife was feeding him. He was doing one of these. For what, from 9:15 to 6:30, no breaks, just go. And his sketches were so I am so envious and jealous, because if I had to do it again, I probably would have done the George Perez experience just to get a Nightwing from him. But I mean, that what matters most is I got my book signed, and he was say they cut off the line at there were 70 people after the 2-day pass, right? And fortunately for me, I say a good 300 of those folks in front of me left. So, yeah, all in all, really good con. You can't really, per se, dictate what the artist or your headliners do. What I mean by that is if they say, we are doing unlimited this and that with sketches, roger that, yes sir, let's do it. You know, they should have done like Scott Hanna and who else, Michael Lark. What they did was from what I understand, it was from 10 to noon he was doing signings, and then from noon to 2 he shut down his booth and he did commissions. And then he reopened it up from 2 to 4 for signings. And then from 4 to 6, he did nothing but commissions. And, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, it was unlimited. Everybody had unlimited. The only people that were charging was Michael Golden, Marv Wolfman after the first one he'll do free. Bob McLeod, after the first one, was free. It was $2 a signature. You know, and Scott Hanna, first of all, I didn't realize that dude is that tall. Have you ever, like, that dude is I'm 5'11", and this dude is like an easy 6'3", 6'4". And we were cracking jokes. I was like, dude, how did you go from like, because he said he didn't play sports, like no basketball or anything. And he was like, how did you not? He was like, I was too busy drawing. So, you know, the con was good. I wish that they kind of fine-tuned the George Perez thing, considering that this was his last showing in Texas. And not to get political, but I don't remember if Louisiana voted for Trump or Arkansas voted for Trump. Who's next to me? Is it Colorado next to me? New Mexico. I think New Mexico is next to me. I don't know if New Mexico voted for Trump. So, who knows when we'll see George Perez again? In 4 years, in 8 years? If they give him $1 million for showing up, who knows? But this was honestly the only time that we did, and that's why I stayed as long as I did. The vendors, convention prices, and we all know convention prices. I will say that I had who was it? The Doom said just do it. Kind of like a no regret type of deal. And that's what happened to me. There's 2 books that weren't overpriced, but priced where they needed to be, and he wasn't budging, and I got so used to the prices that I'm finding books that I walked away from it. And I remember driving home last night, and I made it probably an hour out of Dallas, and I stopped and took a nap at a rest stop, all right? Popped my little zombie kit, grabbed my sleeping bag, my pillow, and just fell asleep inside the truck. But I remember waking up and I'm like, dude, just drive back and get it. Just do it. And I just didn't. I kicked myself in the butt now and punched myself in the throat for not doing it. But if there's one opportunity, there's always a second one, you know. So, but that's it. That's how that con went. It was pretty good. I did get some books, and I'll show that off in the second video. But Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Nobody got in trouble. Picked up some good books. But anyways, all right. See you on the flip side.